Welcome back to the Budget Techie, and today, this is not really a tech-related video. I'm going to show you, instead of doing something related to tech today, I'm just going to show you how to replace a light switch, these flip or toggle style light switches, with a flat rocker style switch to make it a more modern and luxury look. So I'm going to show you how to do exactly that today. It's a really easy DIY project to do if you want to modernize your house. So yeah, let's get into it. So first, the obvious thing is you have to unscrew your wall plate. Unscrew the wall plate, the old switch wall plate. And before we get into that, I'll show you all the supplies needed. So you'll need a wall plate, a cover for your new switches, 2 switches. Usually if you're doing it in a bathroom, you're only gonna need a one-way switch. But if you need to do it on like where you can control a single light from 2 switches, then you need a 3-way switch. So it ultimately depends on what kind of switch you need. It's either a 1-way or a 3-way, or a single pole or a triple pole switch. And then you need your setup screwdrivers, tools, and then a voltage tester to test whether it's safe to work on or not. So this is 1-way since we're only controlling 1 light and 1 exhaust from 1 switch. If you're going to control 1 chandelier from 2 switches, then you need a 3-way. So now we can just continue opening the switch cover. So there we go. Now we just got the cover off, the old cover off, and before you start touching anything, you're going to want to be really careful. You see, use your voltage tester. If you're this voltage tester, take out your voltage tester and then start touching some of the screws with the voltage tester. Don't start digging in with your hands since you're going to get shocked. Also, you're going to want proper insulation. You need to separate yourself from the ground, so obviously I am wearing my shoes, so I gotta be wearing shoes or some sort of thing to separate yourself from the ground for safety precautions. So if it's beeping, you do not want to touch it with your fingers or else you will get electrocuted, so don't touch that while it is beeping. So what you need to do to cut the power off is turn the circuit breaker off. So you need to locate your circuit breaker. It could be in a utility room, it could be in a basement of your house, or wherever. So you just need to shut down power. So here now we are in the step of cutting off power with your circuit breaker. So the first thing you want to do is, here's a circuit breaker now, but you just got to locate your circuit breaker. This could be in a basement, this could be in a utility room of your house. You just got to find a big panel, usually made out of metal, looks something like this, with all these black switches, and then you gotta locate your appropriate break for the light or whatever switch you're controlling. So for my bathroom light on the main level, it's number 26. So we just gotta turn it off, go back upstairs, and then check the voltage with the voltage detector to see if it's safe to work on or not. So now you're gonna want to use your voltage detector to test whether it is safe or not to work on. So both of these screws, touch this screw, touch that screw, and if it doesn't beep, you're good. Touch this screw, touch that screw. You just want to double check. So now it's time to start opening your switch. What you want to do is grab your fat head screwdriver. The 2 terminals, one here, one right here. But since these are not screwed in, It depends on your house. It might be screwed in or not screwed in. And it might be clamped in. So what you want to do is get some sort of small screwdriver. And then there are usually these little holes right here. And you're just going to want to push. You're just going to want to push right here to get the wire out. If your house has the wire clamped into the switch. So you're gonna push all the way down until you feel something disengaging, and then you can take the wire out. Mine's not quite there yet. There it is. So now it's coming out. You're just gonna wanna take one wire out at a time, since you don't wanna mess up the wire placement. And now this is when a new switch comes into play. I'm just gonna unbox the new switch. So this is our switch, the brand new white switch, and then you see this is top, bottom. So this switch, this wire, it was supposed to go in the top. So I'll align it to the top of the switch. It is currently off right now. Off, on, off, on. So basically you want to align it to where both switches are pointing to off, and that's how you know it'll go into the top. So this is for the on position. So you're just gonna want to push that wire right in there, right into the clamp. As you can see, push your wire into the clamp. Gotta push it nice and tight. Make sure it's nice and tight so none of the electricity leaks out. And then do the same process with the other one. Unclamp it using one of these little holes right here. Unclamp, push all the way down, and the wire comes out like that. And then we can do the grounded wire last. Repeat the same process. Push into the new switch. Push, make sure it's tight. And then it's time to go about taking out the ground wire. Use your flathead screwdriver, and then start unscrewing the ground or earth wire. You just want to jiggle that out to make sure everything comes out. So out goes the old switch and in comes the new switch. So what you're going to want to do is kind of unbend the ground wire a little bit to make it easier to get to this little grounding screw, or the earth screw, whatever you call it. Usually in like Britain or Europe, they would call it the earth, and in America and Canada, they would call it the ground. So it doesn't really matter, but this is the earth or ground. So you're just going to maneuver this bare copper. Usually the earth or ground is bare copper. Maneuver it into this little thing right here. It might be a little hard. Yeah, now you've got it in, and you're gonna want to use your tool or your like little pliers to make sure these two ends have a firm connection, and you're gonna want to make sure they're in tighter like this. So basically, we're just gonna pinch them together. So once you got it in like this, it's kind of like hugging the ground screw. And now you feel like you got it in tight. It's just time to screw in the ground wire. Whoops. Kind of stabbed my hand a little bit there. Should have used the Phillips head, since that one would have worked with the Phillips head also. And now just kind of push in the switch and start screwing it in. And then you can work on the other switch now. make sure not to over tighten, because one side of the switch, it'll end up looking unproportional. And then now you just gotta unscrew the other switch. Repeat the same process I told you about. These are all builder's grade stuff, so I'm trying to replace it with stuff that's a bit nicer. So now take out the switch again, do the same process. Use your small screwdriver to just punch out these wires. And make sure you remember which orientation. I prefer to do the top one first. That comes right out. So this is top, this is bottom. You're gonna wanna remember that. Your new switch. Take out your new switch again. Top, bottom. Put it in like that, and then just transfer over the grounding screw. Again, do it like that. And then stretch your ground wire out a little bit to make it easier to put it in. And use pliers to squeeze in the ground wire again. Give it a snug fit around the screw. And then use your screwdriver to start turning. So now it's all the way in. Just gotta make sure it's nice and tight once again. So now it's time to turn back on the circuit breaker so we can test if it works. So this is not final as we have not installed the covers on yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And now you can just turn back the breaker. And a note to be careful, do not touch the metal part. It is hot. So now as you can hear, the exhaust is on, turn it off. So everything works properly, everything is in the correct orientation. So now we can just shut down the circuit breaker and then reinstall the cover. And now, as I said, we can start installing the covers. This is the screwless wall plate, so let's just take that out. The cover or the wall plate, whatever you like to call it, but you just gotta put on the cover to make it look more aesthetically pleasing and for safety, so nobody touches these internal wires, since this could be deadly. It could electrocute someone. This is 120 volts electricity, which is pretty weak compared to how Europe and the rest of the world, they use 240 volts, so. But it's still pretty strong, so gotta take the safety precaution. So now you just gotta, on your screw is covered. In particular, mine, the screw is covered. You just gotta take the internal part off. And you're gonna want to be careful in doing that so you don't break anything. So now we took the inner part of our cover off, and now you just gotta screw it on top of these top screws. So you're gonna get your flat or Phillips head screwdriver, whatever works, and you just gotta screw down. And now I've got a wall plate on. And now it's just time to put on the external bracket. So, you see this on the bottom, it has these two things where you can just put it out with a screwdriver. You don't want it on the top though, since it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. So, just gotta push it on with the screw is covered. If you got a screw is covered, you push it on like this. This hides all the screws underneath. Push in the cover, make sure everything snaps. You're gonna want to use your muscles to push in everything to make sure everything snaps. So as you can see, we got everything installed, and now you can just flip back on the circuit breakers and then check to see if it works. And then now you just gotta turn on the lights. Everything works, it's under the cover, and this is the final product. This is what it looks like compared to the old one. And then now this is optional, but if you want to label your switches, then you can go ahead with that. So now this is just me putting on the label of the switch. Stick it on there like that to make sure they know which switch they're hitting. And yeah, we're done. So this labeling thing is completely optional. If you have a label printer or whatever, that's great, but it isn't required. But this is what I usually do to keep things more organized. And with that, this is the final product. Thank you for watching the Budget Techie, and subscribe if you want to for more videos, and I hope you found this tutorial useful. Peace out.